Good morning. This is my testimony. I was raised in a Christian household. My father became a believer shortly before I was born, and my mother grew up in the church and was a believer from a very young age. Her faith had been something that was a huge influence on my father when they met, and from what I understand was one of the bigger things that God used to convert him. As a result of my father's newfound faith, he wanted to make sure that growing up, my siblings and I would have a firm faith-based foundation. He would read through the Bible with us as bedtime stories before we would go to sleep, but really he was just reading the whole Bible, which was not quite a bedtime story. The book of Judges still has some accounts in it that have stuck in my head pretty well for a long time as a result, but his intention behind it was to give us a firm faith-based foundation, and I believe that's what he did. When I was 5, I went through an intense procedure where my left eye socket was reconstructed to remove a tumor. At the time, I think I was too young to understand it, but it was by the grace of God that I came out of that surgery as I did, understanding now the complications that arose during the procedure. Shortly after this, my father felt called to begin seminary to become a pastor. As he worked through schooling, he continued to read us scripture before my brother and I went to sleep. One night we were brushing our teeth, and Dad read the resurrection account to us and gave us a gospel presentation. I was really, really moved by it and the sacrifice that Christ would make to save us from an eternity in hell, and sat there on the yellow painted oil heater and prayed with Dad. Looking back, I don't think that I quite understood the life that I was picking up at that point, and did not keep a consistent relationship with Christ, and did not try to walk in a way that was honoring to Christ. As time went on, my father became a pastor at a local church that was dying quite rapidly. I had a second tumor removed from my skull, and we made a move to be closer to the church, all within the same year. The few people that remained at the church were Sunday Christians exclusively, and did not want to be associated with Christ aside from that. They did not honor Christ with their lives and did not care to be a part of the church aside from the average Sunday service. As a result, my family ended up being the only people at the church to be putting events together and cleaning up after them for quite a while. Beyond that, the people were constantly putting my father in bad situations. All of this drove me to feel a lot of bitter feelings towards the church for a while. We had a lot of internal conflicts with our family during that time and our church, and I felt isolated because I didn't have a whole lot of friends at the time and didn't get to see the ones that I did have very often. And on top of that, there were all those bitter feelings towards the church for what they had led my father through. And ultimately that all snowballed and drove me towards feeling some feelings of depression and a lot of anxiety. And I ended up in a pretty dark place spiritually and emotionally. Eventually, my parents caught on and they talked to me about my feelings during that time and some of the stuff that I was thinking. And they ended up putting me in an online high school where I'd be able to make a lot of new friends. And I did, and they were a huge influence on me, and they really encouraged me to take my relationship with Christ more seriously. I realized at that point how badly I had done at keeping my relationship with Christ consistent. I wasn't praying consistently. I wasn't reading my Bible consistently. I wasn't even trying to live in a way that was honoring to Him. And being around all those other believers really showed me that and how far I was from where I should have been. And I started to make a more conscious effort to pursue Him with my life moving forward. Shortly afterwards, we moved to Tennessee, where we became a part of a local church that really encouraged me to get baptized because I hadn't at that point. So I did that in the December of 2021. And the following summer, I got connected with a Bible camp that was nearby and became a counselor there. And that whole situation really, really opened me up to a whole new world of ministry. And I met a guy there who told me about a national internship that the camp runs, and he invited me there. So I prayed about it and really felt called to do that. I moved away from my family to do that internship, and now I'm back, and I'm trying to pay for school as I go and finish up this degree, so that way I'll be able to use it moving forward in whatever Christ has for me next. Thank you.